Okay, so this is an NV3550 bearing retainer and assembly procedure. So the first thing we're going to do is take our bearing retainer and we're going to take our coupler shaft seal and install it with the open end down into the bearing retainer. We're going to take our seal driver and drive it in. And we're going to check to make sure that it's seated all the way, which that one is. Once the seal is installed, and don't forget to put that back on if it happens to pop off the inner lip there. Next thing, we're going to drive the bearing into the bearing retainer, making sure that we're just driving on the outer race as we're tapping it in. And we're going to take our race punch, again driving on the outer race, make sure that it's all the way seated down in place. Once it's seated down, and you see the snap ring groove here, we're going to go ahead and install the large snap ring that came with the 3550 kit into the housing. Take our snap ring pliers. We're going to double check that it's seated properly. So the next step then is to take the coupler shaft and we're going to apply some light grease on the seal surface and then also where the seal will ride here on the shaft to give it a little bit of lubrication before the oil gets to it. Just a good healthy coating of grease in there. And then the bearing retainer assembly goes down over the coupler shaft and you'll have to drive the race on, the inner race, down on the coupler shaft until it bottoms out. And the way you'll double check to make sure that it's down all the way is by taking your adapter gear and installing it down. You can see that the snap ring groove is not visible, so that's a good indication that the bearing has to go down further on the shaft and it's not bottomed out yet. We'll test it again. And you can see the snap ring groove is available there. And we're going to take the snap ring that you had originally taken off your transfer case adapter that you also got the gear from as well. And that will be installed just like that. And again, double checking that the snap ring is seated down in the groove. Once that's done, the last step is to install the O-ring in the groove and the bearing retainer, and that will provide a seal so that oil doesn't weep out the sides. And now your bearing retainer, coupler shaft, adapter gear assembly is complete and ready to be installed into the Dana 20 transfer case.